Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Wonder Spotlight, where today we'll be taking a look at the Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army is unlocked with the construction technology. This does make it a classical era wonder. To get the Eureka for the construction technology, all you have to do is construct a watermill, something that is very easy to do and something that you can do in pretty much every game as long as you care to do it. By this point, as I mentioned in the last Wonder Spotlight, we're really too late to even consider rushing for wonders, because if you want to rush for construction, it's going to take you a good amount of time and you're probably going to end up quite behind on other technologies. So just from here on, we're not even going to discuss rushing the technologies. I do believe that the Terracotta Army is the last classical era wonder though, so that is actually kind of cool. We can finally move on to some of the medieval ones. But once you research construction, the building requirements for the Terracotta Army are as follows. They're kind of similar to the Mahabodhi Temple that we talked about last episode, in that you must build it on a flat grassland or plain style, and it must be adjacent to an encampment with a barracks or stable built in that encampment district. These building requirements they're not terribly difficult to fulfill, but it is going to take a little bit of time just because you do have to construct the encampment and you do have to construct the barracks or stable as well, so there is a bit of production that you have to put in before you can even think about constructing the Terracotta Army. Once you fulfill those requirements though, it has a production cost of 400 production, which is the exact same as all of the other classical era wonders that we have talked about. Once you place down the Terracotta Army, its bonuses are as follows. So it will provide plus 2 great general points per turn. All of your current land units will gain 1 promotion level, and all of your archaeologists can enter foreign lands without open borders. So in general, I do think that these bonuses are actually quite good. The 2 great general points per turn they're not like outstanding, but I guess they're nice. They're not going to make too much of a difference though in the long run, because if you're going domination, you're probably going to have a decent number of encampments anyways, so it's not really going to matter. All of your current land units gaining 1 promotion level though is really nice, and we'll talk about how you can use that later on in the game. And additionally, all of your archaeologists being able to enter foreign lands without open borders is really nice as well, because you can get a lot more artifacts, even with people that you're not generally friendly with, if you have Terracotta Army. So for that, it is really good. And now it is that time to rate the Terracotta Army. So if you're new to the series, what I do is I rate each wonder on a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being terrible and 5 being outstanding, and that overall rating just kind of judges how effective the wonder's bonuses are. I'm going to talk about some of the use cases for the wonder as well, and I'm going to give a difficulty and consistency rating, both of which are also on that 1 to 5 scale, and the difficulty rating is just how difficult it is and how competitive you have to be with the AI on Deity to construct the wonder, and the consistency rating just judges, well, how consistent the bonuses are, and how versatile the bonuses are as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and rate the Terracotta Army. So for its overall rating, I actually think it deserves a 4. I think that the Terracotta Army is a bit of a sleeper pick, in that not a lot of people tend to view the Terracotta Army that highly, but I think its bonuses are actually really strong for multiple reasons. And as far as its use cases are concerned, we can go ahead and talk about some of those right now. And for one, I definitely think it's very useful for a huge domination power spike. So whenever you're going for the Terracotta Army, you can kind of strategically plan when you want to build it, so that way you get those promotion levels at a very convenient time. So for one, you're going to be able to get those promotions that maybe give your units more combat strength, maybe a little bit more survivability, maybe a little bit more mobility. So those promotions just by themselves are very useful. The other thing that I find that you can do with them, and something that I really tend to like to do, is to start building Terracotta Army right before I go to war, so that way I get all those promotions in the middle of the war when some of my units may be injured, so that way I can use those promotions to heal up my units, because every time you get a promotion, your units heal. I believe it's 50 HP, so you can really strategically use the construction of Terracotta Army in those promotions to give yourself a massive domination power spike, and it can make it very easy to wipe another player out of the game if you get it at one of those really opportune times. One of the other really nice things about it is that its bonuses are useful throughout most of the game. So there have been times where I have built Terracotta Army in like much later stages of the game, like in medieval or Renaissance eras, you know, long past the classical era whenever I first unlocked it. But it can still be very helpful in those situations as well, just because of the domination power spike that it provides. So maybe if you're in a little bit of a lull, or you need a little bit of, a little bit of extra domination energy to get yourself going, to start another conquest or to finish someone off, then Terracotta Army can be very useful, and it is throughout the entire game, as I just mentioned. The other use that I find for the Terracotta Army is to gain many more artifacts, and I find that this is especially useful on some of like the weird civs that go domination and culture, like Persia or the Greeks. because generally whenever you're going domination, you're not going to have open borders with a lot of people because they're going to be pretty mad at you, and they're not going to want to declare open borders with you when, like, after you go and kill maybe 1 or 2 other civilizations, because you're going to get a lot of warmongering penalties for that. But with the Terracotta Army, though, it's not really going to matter. So even though you don't have open borders, you can still take your archaeologists to those people that hate you, and you can steal all of their artifacts. As we just talked about in the recent Theater Square video, one of the big challenges with artifacts is that there are a very finite number, and if you don't have a lot in your territory, then that can be problematic. But with the Terracotta Army, I find that it really works well in that you can then take your archaeologists, send them out to other people's lands, start taking all their artifacts, and get a lot more varied artifacts than you normally would have been able to. So for that reason, I think it is very good, and it honestly does make it quite a bit easier to theme your artifacts as well, just because if you're going to other people's land to get the artifacts, then chances are you're going to be getting artifacts from various different creators, and as we know from the Theater Square video, that is how you theme, is to get artifacts from the same era from different creators. So that is another big use case of Terracotta Army. That one's not quite as widespread. I think it works very well on some civilizations, like those ones that like to go the weird domination and culture thing, like the Greeks and Persia, but in those instances, it can be very useful. As far as its difficulty rating is concerned, I actually think that the Terracotta Army deserves a 2. I almost gave it a 1 just because I find that it in general is very easy to construct the Terracotta Army, because for whatever reason the AI do not seem to like it very much. I really don't know why, but for whatever reason, they just don't build it very often. There have been multiple instances where I have built this wonder way after I've unlocked construction, like several eras after, the wonder has been available to build, but just because none of the AI tend to build it. So for that reason, I do think it is very easy to construct this wonder, and you generally don't have to be very competitive if you want to build it. So for that reason, I think it deserves the 2. As far as its consistency rating is concerned, I think that it deserves a 3. It is a pretty consistent wonder for the most part. Obviously, if you don't have a huge military, or if you're still in the process of building up your military, then you're not going to get as much of a power spike from building the Terracotta Army. Or likewise, if your units don't really need healed, or if they're close to promotions anyways, then sometimes that can get a little bit finicky, and it's not as useful as it otherwise would be. But for the most part, it is still pretty useful. It is not very versatile, though. I mean, I guess it is decently. It helps with domination and sometimes culture, but not really anything else outside of that. So for that reason, I think that it is fairly average on its consistency and thus deserving of the 3. So thank you everyone for watching. I've been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.